Hi, everyone. I am super excited to be joined here today with two fellow PCMA 20 in their 20s class of 2018 members, both European members, which I'm super excited about to hear from both of you. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to gently review Convening Leaders, which happened last week. My name is Patrick Crossan. I'm the owner and executive producer for PC Events and Experiences. And what I'll do is I'll just actually, rather than me introduce both of you, I'll just have you both introduce yourselves. So Karen, why don't we start with you?
Fantastic. Thank you, Patrick. So I'm Karen. I'm the head of the convention bureau in Montreux and also part of Lausanne-Montreux Congress. So based in Switzerland.
Awesome. Sina, what about you?
Great. Hi, everybody. I'm Zina, calling in from Germany. And I worked for the International Congress and Convention Association for 7 years. And we also had our biggest event hybrid last year. So over the pandemic, I gained a lot of experience with virtual and hybrid events.
So you're very well prepared to have this little review. As I mentioned, we're all class of 2018, 20 in their 20s, and we've all been to Convening Leaders. We all obviously know what it is because we were very involved in PCMA. But I thought it would be cool to gather us and just have a chat about what we experienced last week. So we'll dive right into it. Karen, why don't we start with you again? General feedback. What do you think? What was your takeaway?
Yeah, I was really excited to start the year with Convening Leaders as every year now for the past few years. It was really great to connect again with some industry friends and make some new connections and also attend some great sessions. I think that's my first impression. It was really a very positive experience for me. And it was also nice to meet the new class of the 20s in their 20s. During the 20s in the 20 meetup, which was great, and the other networking opportunities that PCMA offered. Awesome. What about you, Sina?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the same than Karen says, like I think Convening Leaders is always a highlight to start the year, and same this year. And especially after a difficult year last year, we were all ready to meet event profs again and talk to each other and network. My main motivation to attend was the networking. And the education, to listen to the newest trends and what's going on in the industry. How will 2021 be? What do we see, like hybrid events, in-person events? When are they coming back? Does anybody know? So my overall experience was really good because I achieved my goals. I networked a lot. I watched a lot of sessions. I still have so many to watch because there were so many, but they are available on demand. So I'm busy with more, like with a couple of weeks more to watch the sessions. But yeah, definitely overall it was a good experience. I think definitely good speaking with other event professionals again, listening to their experience of last year. And how they are preparing their events for this year.
Would either of you let's give it a grade maybe? In the European school system, I don't think you guys have the same A, B, C, D, right?
But in Europe, it's different everywhere as well. So it's
we'll go with a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being great, phenomenal, loved it. 1 being you'll pass on it next time around. What would you say, just in general from your experience?
Karen, go first if you want.
No pressure. I think I'd give it a 7.
Yeah.
All right, we'll dive into that. We'll dive deeper into
What
that.
about you guys?
What about you?
Yeah, like for me, it wasn't the best virtual event that I ever attended. So it's definitely not a 10. But I would also say maybe like rather a 7 because there were some aspects that we will discuss that could definitely be improved, but also aspects that they did very well. So I think a 7 is a pretty good rate. What do you think, Patrick?
Yeah, I would give it maybe just 1 more. I would give it an 8. I think overall, I had a really great experience. I think it was awesome that what they did was really take the learnings from all of 2020, right? So we talked about in 2020 as industry professionals, boxed experiences and at-home experiences, right? We saw those just kind of blossom and bloom throughout the year. And I participated in that. I purchased the Purposeful Perks is what they called it, box. I actually still have my little You're on Mute sitting next to me and a little thumbs up. This came in it. So I thought it was great that they did that, but they tied it with also a fundraising element, like purchasing that went towards the PCMA Foundation. So they did little things like that throughout, I feel like the whole conference, a DJ battle at night, really paid attention to what we were talking about as an industry. But I think what I lacked was a little bit of the education. I think there was so much content throughout 2020 because we were constantly as an industry pushing out webinars after webinar after webinar because that's all we had to do, right, for the whole year. And so PCMA to me has always been about the education and pushing the boundaries on content that I felt like outside of the main stage, that was severely lacking this time around. That's why I wouldn't give it any higher than an 8. But yeah, that's my overall. Overall, loved it. Thought they did a great job. But I think the education just like pushes it down a little bit for me this year, which is surprising.
If I could comment on that, okay, if you didn't like the education and as much as the other years, but one thing I'm really enjoyed this year or will be enjoying is that usually it's so hard to choose which session to go to and you have to miss out on a session. And this year you can just rewatch them or watch the ones you missed. So that's really good also to be able to consume this content on a longer period of time than just over the few days. And because before also just a few sessions were recorded, whereas now I haven't been through the whole library yet, but I think everything is available. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
anything else that you liked or enjoyed?
Yeah, just one comment on that, because what I like about these live event, like watching live sessions, is the chat. So because I always love to engage with the chat and, also reading their comments. And sometimes I forgot to pay attention to the speakers because the chat is actually too engaging. So that's why I try to watch as many sessions as possible live, because I know if I watch them on demand, the nice chat is not available. But of course, you're right. Like, I also didn't feel bad not going to that session because I know, okay, I can watch it another time. But the sessions that I actually really liked that are not available on demand are the conversation starters. So what they did, and what I didn't see at a lot of events last year, was like they had a kitchen where you could go for like meetups or for like mindfulness sessions or other sessions or tech sessions. And in those conversation starter sessions, they had a sentence where you can discuss about. So you had to pre-register. So the bad side of that was like usually it's like 40 people. And then I registered for a couple and then I joined and there was either nobody or maybe 1 or 2 other people. So that was really a pity that they were full, like you couldn't enter anymore after it started, even though the sessions was actually empty. So, but they saw our feedback on that, and then the next day they increased the capacity, and that I think that was really good. So those sessions were actually quite nice because you had a topic to talk about, but you also could talk about anything else. So there I met actually quite nice people. We shared our experiences and we talked, and afterward we connected on LinkedIn. And those sessions, you miss those engaging sessions at virtual events, and those conversation starters were quite nice in that respect, and another reason to attend this event live and not just wait for the on-demand session.
Interesting that you pointed out the kitchen, because I didn't even go there the entire time. I was so focused on the sessions and like the education aspect that I didn't even get a chance to touch these other points. I also was in the middle of like my day, had calls or meetings. So I was like, trying to balance out what I could do, what I couldn't do. Karen, I think you had a similar.
Yeah, well, I wanted to connect to the kitchen too, but unfortunately, most also of the micro communities and the activities going on in the kitchen were more timed for the US time zone. So for Europe, it was mostly at 8 p.m. So unfortunately, I couldn't attend as many as I would have wished to attend.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something maybe to consider for next year, maybe to do also some more spread out during the day to allow more people to attend and to connect.
Yeah, I agree. I agree on that. And actually what brought my attention to the kitchen were these micro communities. So a couple of days before the event, I got an email from PCMA saying I got allocated to a micro community. I think we were like 20 in the group, saying like every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 8 p.m. Central European time, we were meeting there. Just like meeting. So I loved those sessions, but again, we were like 20 in the group, and they were like, sometimes we were just 3. I mean, most of the time actually. So I mean, my discussion leader, Beth, she was amazing. I really, really liked her. So even if it was just her and me and maybe somebody else, it was fine. And for me, it was the end of the day. So we talked about the day, like which sessions we attended, what is our experience, but then also we talked about completely different stuff apart from PCMA. So I really like those micro communities of like putting people together, and I think they put us together in like the job that we are doing or what interests we have. So I would have loved to learn more about how they put us together, because I don't know about that. And also some people had problems accessing those sessions. So a bit more of like better explanation of what it is, when, how to access it, because like at one point we asked like, oh, is anybody listening to us? Because there were people in the room that were listening to us, but they were not actively engaged. And then only at the end she joined and she was like, oh yeah, I didn't know how to join. So again, I think the pre-communication is so important. Really like step by step, maybe do like a little video of explaining the platform, what you do there. Then I think those kitchen sessions like would have been more successful.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Sorry.
Oh, no.
Totally agree with you, Sina. As you said, we received, I think, the email on Friday before, and again, 8 in the evening. I unfortunately was one of the ones who had to cancel out short notice because I had my week planned already. I had blocked slots for PCMA during my day, but I couldn't suddenly change my whole program for the week and attend also in the evening. So a little heads up, or if we sign up that we already know in advance what time we sign up for, that could be super helpful.
Yeah, I think I have that feedback just from our industry as a whole, and what's happened over 2020 into 2021 is I feel like as a whole, the industry for some reason is sending out information or links or registration for things in a very short time frame, like 2 to 3 days. I get emails now from all sorts of industry organizations for a webinar on a Thursday and it's Tuesday. And I'm like, I already have my week planned. Like I have client calls. I've been scheduling calls for 2 weeks in advance. Like you can't send me something very last minute and expect me to register for it. I actually have that feedback just in general.
Indeed, or at least put the program up on the website. If the know before you go email isn't ready yet, okay, maybe the platform isn't ready yet or for other reasons, but the program, just put it up on the event website so we can check which sessions we are planning to attend and block our agendas. But like that, it was very difficult. So I think that the live attendance would have been much, much higher if we would have known more in advance which sessions we should block our agendas for, and we're not getting pulled into meetings and have scheduled meetings already.
One thing I did love that I think they did a really good job with kind of talking about these smaller communities or separate events outside of just the main program. I actually think they did a really good job of the supplier events. One of them being the CMP breakfast. And even the DJ battle, I know that technically is like a foundation event, but it's hosted by Austin every year. And both of them, Nashville sponsors the CMP breakfast. And I think both of them did just a really good job of like bringing the energy, bringing the music. Everyone in the CMP breakfast was just like blown away by the singers who were a part of that. And all you saw the whole time was like, great job, Nashville. Like, this has been great. They actually sent us a Starbucks gift card to use to have our own breakfast. Typically, they provide breakfast on site for all the attendees. And I thought, like, what a great way. Here they are, just like adapting to the situation, adapting to what happened. They're sending us $10 gift card. It wasn't anything crazy, but it was enough to like give us that experience and make us feel like we're still being taken care of. We're still part of this community. And the DJ battle, I thought, was a great example of what we've been telling our own clients and our own, industry events to do is bring a DJ, bring the music, like let them battle one another. Your donations chose really who played more, which I thought was great and awesome. So I loved the way they still incorporated these smaller events into the overall experience.
Yeah, that is great. Because Karen and I, we attended the 20s in their 20s meetup, which they did on Remo, which is like a networking platform where you have virtual tables. And I really liked that format. So we could hop from table to table. We could see who was sitting where. We connected with this year's class, and then with fellow delegates, fellow 20s and 20s from our class. So I really liked that concept. But unfortunately, that was only for that one meetup. So, for example, we had an EMEA meetup that was done in Zoom, and then we had breakout rooms. But unfortunately, like I wished we would have done it on Remo as well, or any other virtual engagement platform, and not in Zoom, because we only had one chance to meet other people that was in the breakout room for 10 minutes. But all the others, we were over 90 people attending, I couldn't talk to. Or in general, like having like a Remo platform, or like something like Wonder, any other engagement platform open throughout the whole conference, where you can always go to whenever you feel like networking and meeting new people. That was lacking a little bit. So to overcome this, I created like a Slack channel, and I posted it on social media, and I asked people to reshare. So I think we had about 60 people joining that Slack channel, and that was quite fun. Like I met new people, and Slack is quite big in the US. It's not so popular in Europe yet. So that we had a lot of like American planners there, and that worked quite well. Just like networking, of course, but also talking about sessions, which ones we liked, which ones you should really watch on demand again, or also a bit like criticizing, or like that was odd or something, or or just giving a shout out to like like what you said, like the music, how they incorporated music. So yeah, like because like feeling together and not feeling alone in front of your computer is so important at virtual events. So I think they could improve a little bit to have just like an open chat room somewhere where you can always go to whenever you want.
What did you feel about just like the navigation of the platform, like the platform as a whole, really? Juno, this was actually the first time that I had used it. So I have a few thoughts on it, but I'm interested in Karen, I think you had a point with something about the platform.
Yeah, I thought like regarding the schedule, for example, it was quite hard to navigate. The filters were not working exactly the way they should, even like preset filters that were there. If you were clicking them, sometimes you didn't have any results showing up. And every time you clicked on a session, then it brought you back to the top. So if you were looking at the session on, I don't know, Thursday afternoon, you had to scroll down all the way from Tuesday, Wednesday to get again. So this was a bit confusing. And yeah, I don't know, Sina, do you have?
I was not a fan of the navigation of it. To me, like, it was hard to go back to sessions, and like you said, it would, if you clicked back, it'd bring you all the way up to the top again, and you had to scroll back down. And I was not a fan of that. But otherwise, I think it worked. I think it worked great.
Yeah, I think just
quality of the presentation.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just one key element, I think what Juno is still lacking, maybe they're improving it in the future, like the one-on-one chat functionality.
Yeah.
Like if I wanted to talk to somebody, I could send them a message and then they got an email saying, I contacted them, send Zina an email. Okay, but then you have the conversation on email, but what about in the platform, a little bit like a messenger? So that is what was
weird. That was weird.
Yeah.
What I liked is when you were looking for people that you had all these, also you could put some tags on yourself. So to have kind of conversation starters, I found it quite funny. Dog lover, cat lover, or whatever. Just you found out some interesting facts about people you didn't really know or you wouldn't ask at the first question. So this I quite liked. It was a nice feature.
Yeah.
Anything surprise you? Anything you want to use for your own events moving forward? Like, either one of those?
Yeah, maybe I can go first, because what surprised me really was that they call it a hybrid event, but in my opinion, it wasn't. Like, I was attending virtually, and for me, it was purely a virtual event. So they said like the main broadcast studio was in Singapore, but like we didn't really experience much. There were a couple of sessions. There were like broadcasters from Singapore, and there was a speaker in Singapore, but only a very, very few ones. So, I would have loved to see more of the audience. Who is there? Like, I don't know, even what are they eating for dinner? Like, show me something from Singapore. Create this FOMO of like, okay, I'm not in Singapore. I would have loved to be there. Or similar to any of the other local events in the US, they had quite a few. I think in Florida, in
Vegas,
Denver, or So, but like we didn't really like know about them. So neither on social media much, nor like any session shout outs to them or anything, and also vice versa. Like I spoke to people who were actually in Singapore, and they didn't get any like impression of us. Like there was no social media wall or any, like we were not like the online participants could have been shown on the screen or something like that, what they did for the Oscars. So this was, I think, lacking, and that surprised me a little bit. I expected a bit more there. That's just my opinion. If you call it hybrid event, make it a proper hybrid event, and it doesn't have to cost much. You can also just give somebody like a GoPro camera in Singapore and show what they're experiencing there, so we know how it is there.
Agreed.
What about you, Patrick?
What surprised me is actually, it's nothing actually to do with PCMA, the organization, but more the people who attended. I'll explain this. So I really loved the main stage sessions with the one with Thomas Friedman, and then the one, it was Renew and Transform Your Organization in 2021 and Beyond. It was with the doctor from Singapore. I forget her name.
Kana, Dr. Kana.
No, Dr. Aisha Kana. Yeah, Kana. And then the gentleman, I forget his name before him. But anyways, I really loved both of those sessions, the Thomas Friedman one and that one. But what surprised me was the chat. Cindy, you mentioned it earlier about watching the chat. I was just so shocked at how people were responding to the sessions and the fear that was essentially in everyone's chat comments, because both of them were very future focused sort of topics. They were both pushing the limits Thomas Friedman talked a lot about how you have to learn, work, like that cycle is churning a lot faster than it previously used to be. It used to be you'd learn in school and then you'd go to work and you work the rest of your life. And now you have to continually reskill yourself. And the chat that was coming out from people were just like, this scares me, like
not ready.
Older generation, how am I going to relearn anything at this point? And then, you know, the other session was about data mining and using AI and robots. And everyone was like, robots are scary. Like, we don't want them to take our jobs. And I was just like sitting there like, come on, people, like whether you like it or not, this is the future. And
and you all have an Alexa at home, so
yeah, you gotta get with the program or move on. And I think it was interesting for me because I brought a prop. I was just reading, I just finished Limitless Mind, which is learn, lead, and live without barriers. It talks about having an open mind to all of these things. And so for me, I was also just like, yeah, like this makes total sense. But I think what was on display was everyone who was there in the chat being able to share their feedback right then and there in the chat. And you don't always get that when you're attending live, you know, in person. You don't always get to hear everyone's comments. And so for me, it was just surprising that like, here we are a year into this and people are still scared about what had happened. Anyways, I went off on a tangent. Karen.
But yeah, I love that the engagement actually that you said, people during the session, it was so great to be able to interact with people and engage and comment. And it's true that it's something that sometimes is missing at live events. So this is really something I enjoyed a lot.
And another thing, like what else surprised me was that there was no event app, or did I miss anything? But I was like, yeah, it's not another app that I have to download. So that surprised me, and that's what I would take back for my own events. Like, really think, do you really need an app? You know, maybe it's not necessary. So that was.
I actually watched a session on my phone in the morning on Thursday because I had a dentist appointment and that I had to go to early on. And the first session after I got out of the dentist appointment, I watched on my phone on the way home. It was all browser based these days. You don't need
Yeah, that's cool. I think the app can make sense when you're on site sometimes. But when everyone's in front of their computer most of the time, except to watch a session, I thought it was great because sometimes you have the event website, the event platform, the app, you don't know where the information is. So this was really great to have everything in one place. You knew where to find the information.
Yeah. And another thing that I really liked was the closed captioning function, that you can have subtitles. So that was great for us non-native English speakers. So sometimes I just put them on and I could read what the speaker was saying. And also you had live interpretation in Spanish, Korean, and Chinese. So I tried Korean and Chinese, it didn't work. Spanish worked. So if I wanted, I could have had a language class at the same time. But those things make the events more accessible. So I really like that. And that's something definitely I would keep for my own events.
Yeah. Any last closing thoughts? We've talked about a lot. Any last?
Looking forward to 2022.
In person again.
Next one is 2022.
You have to think.
In Vegas, it looks like, which is super exciting. That was actually my first Convening Leaders as a student, was in Vegas. It was at the MGM.
Oh.
Sorry, go ahead, Senna.
No, I just want to say, like, let's see how they include the virtual audience then, or if they will fully focus on the in-person event again. Because I think, now that so many people attended virtually, a lot of them might not be able to travel to Vegas next year, and they expect a good virtual online event again that they can attend. So let's see how they make this work.
Agreed. Hybrid is our future.
Totally.
So let's see how they do it in 2022.
Yeah.
Well, I hope I will see both of you there in person.
Yeah, it would be great to reconnect in person.
All
for
of
sure.
our class of 2018. We are the best class, of course.
I hope you saw our video.
Well, thank you both for joining and chatting through this. This was great. It's always good to hear different perspectives overall. And yeah, look forward to seeing you guys again.
Yeah. Thank you for putting this together. It was great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.